All right, everybody, welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. Kevin Sully and Lincoln Shrike. And on today's episode for Friday, we have a special treat. Tyler Day is joining us from his childhood home in Arizona. Tyler, thank you so much for hopping on. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes in the running world over the past couple weeks. How has it been for you ever since the news came down that indoors was canceled and then outdoors as well?
I would say it's been a whirlwind of a week. I feel like as humans, we're kind of creatures that follow in line with like schedules per se. Like even if you say that you don't have a schedule, you still have like things to do. Like, oh, I go out to eat at this place, or oh, I meet at this place. But now with the virus going around, not only did it, cancel the season, but also like school for, I think all the institutions in America have switched to online. I know all the high schoolers and elementary school kids are off school until essentially the end of the month. And so, I would say like right now, I feel like, I just kind of been sitting around. I've been reading a lot, but just not being able to follow a set schedule has been very interesting per se. But it's also kind of a sense of a freedom too. So it's been cool to have the freedom, but it's kind of sad the way how we essentially earn that freedom, I would say. But been holding it down, been doing better.
What was the process like? You seem to be in better spirits now than you were then. What's been the progression of your own feelings?
Initially I was just super distraught. I think that's, I can't be the only one that was feeling that. I was just super sad that, everything that, all these people at all these teams in respective events categories were working towards, and all of a sudden it just, get ripped out from under them. And so, I felt super distraught, super sad. But then Smith kind of took us to the side and just be like, hey, if we're being pissed off or we're being sad over a race, over a silly game, then we are essentially rich in our life. And that kind of put in perspective, like the world doesn't evolve around you. Nothing really goes according to plan. And this just kind of keeps you in check that, what we've had this whole entire time, this track and field thing, if you want to call it, has been a blessing. And so that definitely put me in better spirits. Like, hey, it's not the end of the world. I know there's more races to run in the future. But I think initially I was just sad that like potentially my time at NAU could be done before I even crossed the finish line at a nationals during my 5th year. So so I feel like as a human aspect of it, I know that this will pass. For how long, I don't know. It's just the uncertainty of it. But as a student athlete in the NCAA system, it was just kind of like, is my time done? Is this it? Is this how I essentially go out? So.
Tyler, as you mentioned, you're a 5th-year senior. I know the NCAA came out and tentatively said, we'll add a season of eligibility, given that no one got to run or compete in the spring season. Have you thought at all about that? Are you going to try to come back? I know it's only been a week or so, but what are your thoughts on that? And then obviously somebody who's run as quick as you have and has been successful, you've got to be thinking about going professional as well. Where are you at with that decision, even in this short time frame?
I'm just taking it time by time. I think that's all you can do during this time. But the eligibility, that was reassuring to hear. And it's also kind of nice to hear that, if I was trying to seek becoming a professional and trying to see what's in the waters, I could potentially fall back to college. I could potentially then start probably like a master's degree if I do come back, because I'm already going to graduate with my undergrad at the end of this year. Whether or not the coronavirus is going to stop in people's classes, they put it online, so I still have to graduate school first. It's been like playing with my mind. I've been thinking a lot about it. I kind of been talking back and forth with both Coach Cornfield, our assistant coach, and obviously Coach Smith, our head coach. And so, just the possibilities of wondering what is life after running. Kind of been venturing those avenues to see what's up. But other than that, I just kind of been trying to work on the present now, like just go out, run whenever I can, stay in contact with the teammates via group messages and group chats to see if everyone's okay. So As far as I know, for the future, for me, I just been trying to keep in contact with teammates to see if they're all good and trying to focus on the now, and then kind of potentially focus on the future just a little bit.
I know that you're not professional at this point. You mentioned you don't know if you're going to come back or not, but you've been running so well. You obviously knew you're a strong professional candidate. Do you have a sense of how this pause has affected athletes that are trying to still go professional going into the spring and the summer, not knowing if the Olympics are going to happen, if the trials are going to happen? Do you have any sense of that?
I mean, I believe that, like, there's a sense of, like, there could be, like, hopelessness out there. I mean, I know I'm very fortunate to be able to run fast times, to be able to know that, okay, I pretty much, if this is donezo for me in the NCAA system, then I know that I have a really good chance of, being on a team just because of my background and the pedigrees I've earned at NAU. But I feel like a lot of people, they're not as well off, in that area. And I think for them it might be a sense of, like, hopelessness. And I think you just have to keep on working. You just kind of have to treat this as, especially if you have another year of eligibility, like, you could take upon that, especially for, like, those fourth year seniors. You can use it for a fifth year, and for the fifth year seniors, I could see them, I could see some of them actually do come back and probably come back in a bigger way. So a lot of this could be kind of like a reset button to see, like, hey, like, am I willing to go forth an extra effort, even though I already gave it all that I gave already? Or is this the end of the line? So I think it's a little bit of hopelessness, but also I could see a lot of people turn that hopelessness into seeing, well, can I further myself? Can this actually benefit me? What can I do with this interesting situation or predicament that I have been put in because of the NCAA and because of this virus?
Have you been running this week, or did you take this week off?
So yeah, initially after NCAAs, I took a few days off, just kind of reset, regroup, and just kind of, come back down. Because right now, this is essentially my spring break. So what else than travel to Phoenix, Arizona, like every other, kid? They usually travel past the border and go down to Mexico, but I kind of stop before the border and stop by in Phoenix. But yeah, no. And so for me, I just kind of want to see my family, say hi to them. My parents traveled out to New Mexico, and I wasn't able to see them or touch base with them. And I haven't seen my sister forever. She works at Walmart, so just hearing the horror stories that she had to go through during her job there was pretty crazy. But yeah, I just wanted to see my family and come down. But yeah, I've been running a little bit, been on and off, kind of coming back into form. But or just try to keep a slow, steady pace and kind of build up and try to nurture any ailments if I ever had, or just kind of essentially put a big reset, and been trying to cross train too. So been doing that.
There isn't any real precedent to this, which is why it's so difficult, not just for athletes, but everybody through all walks of life. What are you drawing on to get through this? Is there some sort of template that you're working together, or multiple things that you're cobbling together to put yourself in this right mindset?
My mom was talking to my grandparents one time, and my grandparents said the last time they had this much, like, hysteria or uncertainty was when the polio crisis came out. And if anyone knows their history, like, that was it was major, it affected a lot of Americans and killed a lot of Americans. And I mean, not just Americans, but even people already. And to find the vaccine, they immediately, tested on people, saw that it worked, and made sure it worked out. So essentially, my grandparents kind of relate this to a polio crisis. It's not really something you really want to wrap your head around. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just, you just have to take it one day at a time. I mean, again, like, uncertainty is the one things I feel uncomfortable with, and I feel anyone else feel uncomfortable with. You kind of want to know what happens, That's why people seek out fortune tellers, because they want to know what their future holds, or all that fun jazz. And I think it's just essentially we just have to learn to actually live in the present. Like, instead of talking about, live in the present, but yet still kind of think about the future, now we still have to actively think in the present and be like, hey, what do I have today? Well, I'm surrounded by my family. I know that everyone else I love and care about is okay. And I know that, we're all taking the safety precautions, or all the precautions to be safe. So I just essentially just, live each day like, it's doing your best. And I don't want to put like a Debbie Downer on it, like, oh, this is the like end of everything. But I think just, taking it one day at a time is a lot better than being like, oh no, like this is going to be months, this is going to be years, like what's going to happen, And also Coach Smith has been sending us emails and it's been really reassuring, saying like, hey guys, like, I love every one of you. You guys are great. If you need any support, we're here. So knowing that also your hierarchy, your coaches that, see you more than just an athlete, see you as a human being and see you as a person with feelings and, other emotions, are you saying, hey, like if all else fails, like we're here for you, no matter what. So it's been reassuring as well.
What were some of your sister's crazy stories from Walmart?
Okay, so I think my sister was about to throw hands with some elderly woman because, don't mess with Kendall Day. So put that on a dog note. But yeah, you think I'm a crazy dude? Don't mess with Kendall. But anyway, she told me that I think this elderly woman, I don't know what age, but my sister said some elderly woman was, accusing her of like, oh, you don't know when like the next shipment's coming in. And my sister's like, no, I just work here. Like, so there's a lot of people that are like accusatory that are just like, oh, you're hiding something that we don't know. And my sister's like, I can't even get toilet paper for my own family. Like, I'm here so I could try to make buck during this crazy time. That's about like to extent like I haven't heard any of like stories of her like picking up fights or like her like dodging like flying like condiments or like shampoos, but just I think her just being very calm when everything was kind of going to chaos is what I draw from that. Is like my sister being a strong person. For me, I would have lost my cool and be like, listen, Betty White, like this isn't for you, like it's time to get out of here. But it's like the crazy extent is just my sister just like biting her lip and just telling me the people's responses. So
I noticed I'm just thinking things off my head. I know you're an Arizona sports fan, being a native Arizonian. Yeah. I see the Cardinals helmet. Are you excited about DeAndre Hopkins?
You have no idea, dude.
Yeah.
I heard that DeAndre Hopkins like landed in the bird's nest. I was like, there is no way. There is no way that the Houston Texans would trade their best wide receiver, not just on their team, but in the NFL. And plus for Arizona, it's you never hear any like big name like studs ever come here during their prime. Obviously, we had Emmitt Smith come to the Arizona, but all of his prime years were with the Cowboys. We had Adrian Peterson come here, but again, all of his prime time was with the Vikings and maybe a little bit of the Redskins, but mostly the Vikings. So a lot of the time when we do get big name athletes, their prime years is already behind them, minus Larry Fitzgerald, #loyalty. But getting that acquisition was, really, really exciting. So I was really pumped to hear about that. I thought it was fake. Obviously, David Johnson was a great running back for us. He went to the University of Northern Iowa. My family's from Iowa, so it was kind of nice to have that cool, background to that. But other than that, we knew that David Johnson was kind of on his way out. And, getting DeAndre Hopkins, I'm, pumped. And DeAndre Hopkins seems pumped, too. It's social media, so I don't know how he responds, but, how he felt about responding it. But he seems to be rising up at the Red Sea, so I'm really pumped about that.
Well, what's your Phoenix sport team rankings as far as Diamondbacks, Cardinals, and Suns?
Okay, so I'm pretty biased because I'm a huge Diamondbacks fan. I grew up imagining I was going to be a World Series champion, an all-star with the Diamondbacks at, catching position because, I'm built like a, wall. But I had dreams of trying to be an Arizona Diamondbacks player for my whole entire life. And so, Diamondbacks are first for me. And I've been getting into the Coyotes recently.
Oh, I forgot about hockey. Sorry.
Yep. No, we have hockey in the desert. I know it's crazy to think about that. The ice cube doesn't melt just yet. But the Coyotes have been doing good. They've been really making me mad because they were in a wild card position for the Stanley Cup playoffs when they were slowly backing their way out. So when the virus hit, hopefully they have time to train at their own houses. So when we do hit the ice again, we could probably make a playoff push. But I'll put them tied with the Cardinals. And then obviously I love my Suns. I'm a pretty big Suns fan. And, just having this decade of, not going to these championships. And I mean, it wasn't even we just missed the playoffs. We've absolutely missed the mark entirely. it's really hard to see them make improvements, but then mostly make not improve. And so, yeah, I would probably go Diamondbacks, Coyotes, Cardinals, and then Suns. Cardinals are third just because I haven't seen what they can do with DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm pretty sure after that first preseason game, I'm going to be the dude that's typing like Cardinals 2021 Super Bowl champions. You heard it here. So,
well, I asked you to rank your sports teams. How about let's take it to your indoor season? The two memorable ones, at least for fans, would have been the two races at BU, the 13-16, and then the fast 3K with your teammates. How did those two performances stack up for you? Which one was more special? And I guess just kind of run through what each of those races was like for you this year.
Yeah. So I would say the 5K for me, and by 5K, when I say more special, I'm not talking about like, oh, here's the 5K and here's the 3K, way down below. They're like just on top of each other. But I would say the 5K has like just a little bit of a lead, because it was my first race back from what I would essentially say a really tough like track season. My indoor season last year was not up to par to my standards and to what I wanted to be. And then at outdoor season, I did have that flashing moment of that 13:25, but overall, not kind of underperforming at outdoor nationals. And then the first time I represented the United States, I underperformed there as well. I really wanted a time to reset and come back in a big way. So after training that cross country season, having that first indoor track race, running that 5K, it was a big step in the right direction, and a step that I thought I wouldn't be strong enough to even take. And so that was kind of a big way. And also to get that close to an Olympic standard that was already changed. This wasn't like the Olympic standard that before Sebco had the ruling, I was already close to. This is already a pretty quick time, and be that close to it has been very insane. And so I would say that's a little bit special in the 3K, but the 3K was super special because I got to do it with teammates. We got to do it when I would say there was somewhat pressure. I mean, we saw, the Husky Invite 3K go off. We saw a bunch of these fast 3Ks go off. So we knew that we had to rip it, and we essentially have to run faster than we ever have for a 3K before. My PR going into that 3K, I know it's on T-First, but I ran it when I redshirted. It was a 7:53, 7:50, or 7:54. But a lot of people are like, oh, he's only 8-minute 3K guy. But last year, as hard as I could, I ran an 8:01 3K. And that's like literally with all my might, I ran that at Iowa State. And then, but being able to run that 7:54 with friends, with teammates, in a very exciting race, that was also special as well. So, 5K was special just because of like the significance of making a step forward was great. But the 3K was for me great because I got to run them with friends, and two of the best teammates I've ever had in doing so there too.
Tyler, going back to the 5,000 a bit, because after you ran that race, Lincoln and I did a little breakdown for it. And when you passed Eric Jenkins, I just tried to transport myself into your mind, because Eric Jenkins is a big name. And I think we went back to, was it 2015 or 2016? The same weekend that Eric Jenkins won NCAA titles, I looked up where you were racing on that same weekend, and you got like 8th at the Chandler Rotary Invitational 3200. Now, no disrespect to the Chandler Rotary Invitational, I'm sure it's a great meet, but you beat a guy, one of the legends of the NCAA, and also a guy who's gone on and been competitive at the world level. What was that like when you actually went past him?
So when I went past him, I didn't go so far as just like, what was I doing like 5 years ago? But to be fair, in that Chandler Rotary race, in that Chandler Rotary race, I actually got clipped and I fell in that race. So if that time seems slow, I fell.
Come on, Kevin.
It just makes the story that much better.
Out there. But so during the race, first off, during the race, I just want to take a shout out to Matt, because I felt so bad because I was kicking the crap out of Matt the whole entire time. I kept on kicking on his heels. I felt so bad that I think when Matt let me pass, I think it was a relief because I wasn't kicking the crap out of him anymore. And so, when it came to Eric, I was like, okay, do not kick the crap out of Eric. That's just not cool. But for me, when we got back onto Eric's group with Eric and Paul, I think that was just a big step because we lost contact with the group. And I was like, okay, like if we're going to try to get pushed to a fast time, or in my sake, if I was trying to get push to an NCAA qualifying time. Like, I can't, I need to be up with this group. And yeah, Matt and I worked together. We closed the gap between Eric. And then, yeah, when I passed Eric, I mean, it was kind of crazy, but I wasn't just like, whoa, I just passed Eric. I'm just like, okay, like the race is almost over. I just passed a runner. There's Paul, like there's another run in front of me. I just got to stay like competitive. You know, it wasn't just like, whoa, I passed this dude with a bunch of marks, which I'm not trying to, put down Eric. He's a great runner. Obviously his pedigree speak for himself. But for me, it was just like, hey, this is just a competition. There's another run in the race that I went past. I just need to hold my spot. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was essentially like my mind. Then afterwards, I was just like, whoa, that was crazy. But during the race, I was just kind of like, I just need to keep chipping forward. I just need to keep, getting after this time. Because if we're all racing for 13:13, I think during that time in the race, we were a bit off the pace. So it's just like, man, I just got to like hunker down and try to, get down really hard. So.
Well, and Tanui, at one point, you're going toe-to-toe with a guy who's won world championship and Olympic medals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty crazy. I mean, I didn't go to bed in Boston thinking like, oh, I can't wait to go toe-to-toe with like Paul Tanui. I went to bed in Boston with essentially like, hey, our whole entire job here is to hit the NCAA standard in the 5K and get a qualifying mark and not worry about it. I would love to tell you a story that Smith riled us up and saying, hey, you're going to do the coolest thing ever. But literally the only instructions I got from Smith was be competitive and hit an NCAA qualifying mark. That was it. That was nothing to it. So yeah, it did lead to me being behind Paul. And it was a pretty surreal moment. And it kind of told me like, wow, I could actually compete with medalists. But yeah, again, during the race, it was just like, yeah, this is just another competitor that I have to try to get past.
Because of how well not only you, but virtually all the big names on NAU had been running, so many people, including our website, were talking about you all as potential podium team or even a potential indoor champion. And obviously, we'll never know. But internally, were you guys talking about that? Was Coach Smith talking about, hey, we can win an indoor team title? And when, I guess, if so, when did that become something that was possible?
So I feel like after the 5K, we were just like, okay, that was crazy. And then as time went on, we saw that, Theo Quacks ripped a great mile. And even before that, we had Abihaman Nur and Ryan Roth ripped a 5K in the Dome. And I know a lot of people's mindset on, elevation conversions, those guys are cheap. But yeah, running at 7,000 feet at a 5K, and they were hitting like 68 pace, I believe. And it was just those two at the end. Like, it wasn't like they were a whole big race. Like, it was just a time trial for them, essentially. And for them to get it done as well, it's just like, okay, not only do we have a lot more people qualifying for indoor nationals than we ever had in school history, but we have people that are hungry and they want it too. It's not like these guys were just happy to be there. Like, they worked their butts off to be there. And I'm not saying that, like, every other team has guys like just happy to be there, but I know that the people there would absolutely bleed for their spots on the line. So it's like, okay, we have the numbers. We have essentially the density in numbers. It was like we could probably pull off something incredibly ridiculous has never been done in NAU history. And so, I mean, for me, what I got the gist of it was it would be great if we got like a trophy back. So, I mean, it wasn't like we're going to go to nationals and be like, hey, top 4, that's it. Like, we were going to try to treat it like a conference meet, We wanted to compete in the events, try to put up as many points as we could in each of the respective event categories that we have. And at the end of the day, see where we ended up, That's just a spirit of competition, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not there for the fame or the fortune. I mean, shoot, if I was there for the fortune, I would have stuck to baseball. But I think it was essentially just the competition, the art of you against another person and seeing where you place. And we were going to have a big contention come out and kind of support us. And yeah, I felt like if we did get 4th place, we would be treating it like a national title. Like we would still be celebrating. If we got 3rd, we'll still be celebrating. Like regardless, we knew that whatever happens at the end of that week, we're going to do something that's probably has never been done in NAU history. And to see it, not really being fulfilled or seeing it actually happen, it is a bummer. But I think just the sense of us, taking a stab at it and doing something that typically a non-Power 5 school has ever done. It's it's something that I'm proud to say that I could, keep it close to my heart about.
Now, you obviously know Mike Smith way, way better than I would, but
I don't know if I do, dude.
You don't know? Well, no one really knows. See, I have a theory that Mike Smith's not his real name, but that's just my conspiracy theory.
I mean, you have the name of Mike Smith. That's anyway, sorry, go on.
No. Okay, so we interviewed him after the meet was canceled last week, and he said the plan was for you guys in the 5,000 was to send somebody out really aggressively to, quote, set the trap. He mentioned 204 through the 800. That seems a little crazy. He did have a smile on his face, so I just want to know, was that the legitimate plan? I mean, it makes sense, but what kind of was going to be? How was the 5K going to play out for NAU with 5 guys in that race?
I heard Abdi Ham was going to take us out in 158. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. I think it's essentially, I could see it literally just have, 5 of us, who qualified in the event kind of come together and be like, hey, like there's 5 of us. We could do so much damage. And I think the way that we would have done it was just gas. Essentially the the tactic that Matt and I used in Louisville that we, jokingly were talking about. But I think we wanted to get out hard and try to set, the pain in their legs early on and just try to like white knuckle it. But that's just my hypothesis. I'm pretty sure Smith would have thrown a curveball and be like, hey, we're actually going to sit and wait. So for me, I would expect we probably would have gone out hard. At least I would have. And, try to go for broke because I have a day to recover in between the 3K pretty much. But yeah, I could see him also just be like, hey, kind of play in the middle. Don't do anything crazy. And then make a move exceedingly far out, or maybe make a move once people finally felt comfortable in the race, then hit them in the teeth. But yeah, those are just my 2 options essentially, but both of them still have to do with gas early on in the race. So not so much as like, oh, we're going to chill out and go, because I know I don't fare well that way, but also I feel with 5 guys that are strong aerobically in there, I think we could have done some damage if we would strung it out and just make it a sufferfest. But
I feel vindicated, Lincoln, because I got one. I didn't get the Chandler Rotary 3200 right, but I predicted that's how NAU would run it. I will never be proven right though, because we didn't see the race, but that just makes sense. Tyler, how much extra motivation was there? I know the media talks this stuff up more than maybe it is, so give us a little insight. Obviously, Gordon and Jeremy were following you guys around during the fall. Thank you for that, by the way, because that meant Gordon was in the office less, so we had to deal with him less. So we appreciate you taking that on for us.
I wasn't really on the team, so like,
you were around.
you
were around.
True, yeah.
That season didn't end the way the group of guys wanted it to. How much motivation, how much spark was there going into indoors than there would have been in the scenario where they won in cross country?
Yeah. I would say, like, for me personally, like, I kind of had to remind people, and also Blaze and Cade Burks, Blaze Farrow and Cade Burks did a good job of this, and just kind of remind people, like, hey, remember when you guys lost cross country? Or, like, hey, remember when BYU beat you? Because they're like, because we remember, and we're going to work hard for it. And so it was essentially just kind of, like, letting people know, like, hey, yo, let's work harder now, like, it didn't work out the first time. Cool, let's go back to the tool shed and just essentially hack it out, if you want to use a lumberjack reference. But yeah, I think the motivation was just like, hey, like, we're strong in cross country, and an even stronger team beat us, and they showed us what we needed to work on. And so, I mean, for me personally, I worked my butt off that winter season to prepare for that track season. And I know that, a bunch of other people did the same way on the team, including the women team. And so, yeah, I think it was just essentially just reminding people, like, hey, this is what happened in cross country. Are we going to have it happen again in track? And it was kind of essentially like a heck no. So, yeah, it was essentially just, hey, we're getting back to work, and, going to put our best foot forward this time.
I look at someone like Luis Grijalva, who was running like a man on fire this winter. So it seems logical to connect those two things, but you never know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know what goes on in Luis's head. I mean, I haven't personally been like, yo, what motivated you this winter? But it's kind of like just a consensus that if you become an NAU athlete and you're not working hard, then it's like, what are you doing here? It's almost like I feel like a lot of people deserve like a pat on the back if they've been working hard or been working hard for a long time. But at NAU, it's ingrained. You're expected to do that. Because that's just the way of life here. And so yeah, seeing Luis come back in a way, that was reassuring to hear, and even see too. He really took his stuff seriously, it looked like, and yeah, definitely came with a vengeance. I mean, if you want to talk about Luis and coming back with a vengeance, true story. When we got back, literally the day after we drove back from Albuquerque, after we heard the meet was over, Luis was like, "Yo, I want to do a time trial in the Dome." And of course, Jordy and I were like, "Listen, dude, like this is smart. We would rather train." And we're like, there's no need. Like, what do you need to do a time trial for? Like, there's not going to be a race. Like, what is it for? And Luis was just really adamant on doing a time trial. And then Smith came down. And so finally, after we tried to talk Luis out, he was like, "No, I'm going to do a time trial." And it's like, okay. So we did a mile time trial. Theo Quacks paced him. Theo paced him to 700 meters in the Dome. This is at 7,000 feet on a 300-meter flat track. Paced him 700 meters, and then paced like the last like 400 with Luis. And yeah, Luis ran, I'm not kidding you, a 4:02 in the Dome unconverted. And so I think it was craziest thing I have ever seen. I looked over at Jordy. Jordy was just, yeah, it was just like that's a year we tried to run a fast mile with a bunch of people, and the best we got was like 4:06. And Luis did it with 2 people. And even Theo was like, "I felt good through the 200." I felt good through the 800. But also I think it's just the emotion of him wanting to race too. Like I feel like that also helped Luis propel him forward as well during that season. But yeah, like if you want to know like what a dude with a chip on his shoulder and a vengeance does, they rip a 4:02 at 7,000 feet. So.
Yeah, I know everybody took it hard that day, just wandering around the track. But I know he, in particular, seemed very upset in Albuquerque. I remember he came over to me and was like, "Hey, let's get a race together. Can you organize a race?" And I was like, "I'll do my best, man." Like he was chomping at the bit. He was ready to go. And again, I just connect that back to the fall when the Pinnacle race didn't go his way. Never got a chance to really show like the new Luis Grijalva.
Yeah, exactly. The dude ran the NCAA #1 in the 3K, and it wasn't like, it was like a fast time. Like it was the 6th fastest time in indoor history, Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, it wasn't like a 5th year running it. He's a redshirt sophomore running it. So he was chomping at the bit, knowing that he has time on the clock. And so, yeah, seeing him do that, it makes me really happy that I'm slowly on my way out of the program.
And 4:02, just for those watching at home, that convert at 7,000 feet, that's like 3:53.
Yeah, 3:53. It would be the fastest time in Dome history if it was like a sanctioned event. Yeah, I think the fastest in the Dome was a 4:05 by the Diego Estrada, and then behind them would be me unofficially at a 4:04. Or sorry, Diego ran a 4:04. I ran a 4:05, and then Jordy ran a 4:06 last year when he was in uniform. And then Luis just said, "Cool, hold my emergency," and then rips a 4:02.
That is pretty crazy. I mean, when we were in Albuquerque earlier this year, I'm not in any type of running shape, but for people who doubt altitude conversions, coming from sea level, I rode my bike. We were going to film a workout with Wayne Colati of the New Mexico women's team, and at 5,000 feet of Albuquerque, rode our bikes 3 miles. And when I got done with my bike ride, I thought I was going to hurl. I don't think any true runner is doubting altitude.
Yeah.
But 5,000 feet for someone coming from sea level hurts really bad. So 7,000 feet. I know Luis has been training there for years, but is absolutely no joke. So speaks for itself. That's incredibly impressive.
The Domer demands respect, and Luis was just like, "Cool." Like I'm just gonna say backhanded, but yeah, no, it was really impressive to see. It kind of shows like a will of a person, what he can do when you push yourselves. Like, yeah, you get people like, "Oh, there's no way you could run that fast or anything." But if you put your mind to it and you have the motivation to it, you could do anything. Like run 4:02 at 7,000 feet in the Dome.
Yeah. Well, most of the time, most of the time those sort of like running out of rage things never work. And they're never done. I mean, this is an extreme example because of the threat that's facing the world. But I think we've all been in a situation where like your buddy on the team has a bad race, and later on that afternoon he's like, I know I can do it better, or something happens, or they're hurt or whatever, and then it always goes horribly wrong. And this guy goes and runs a legit like sub 4. It's nuts.
The best thing with Smith was just like, hey, now like, even though we're doing a time trial, just because you're pissed off, dude, you can't rip like the first 200, and you can't rip the first 800. So even Smith was like, hey, dude, I know you're pissed, but just be smart about it. And yeah, Luis like made it look like the easiest 402 mile I've ever seen in my life.
Is a sub 4 coming on that track? Is a sub 4 possible? I mean, obviously people have run fast in the 340s for a mile, but can a college kid run sub 4 minutes on that track?
You know, I have no idea, but if it is, it's going to be a lumberjack. I mean, I would love to be able to see it. I would love to say yes. I just don't know. I never thought it would be possible to go under 404. I thought that was like human capability right there, but Luis said, nah, bro.
I know you're still considering your options, but in the sport, like going forward, what's going to be your event, I guess, in the next like 4 years? Is it the 10,000? Are you thinking about going to the roads? Are you just looking at the track for the time being? Like what's the I guess not super long term, but longish term plan for you as you move forward in your career?
Yeah. For me, I could see it be like, be a 5K, 10K guy. Indoors do 3K, 5K, and then definitely work on my like lower high end speed. So definitely throw myself in some miles to get uncomfortable, but work on like my foot speed. But yeah, in all seriousness, I think, I could see myself be a 5K, 10K guy, and then slowly but surely, or maybe moderately, make a transition to the roads and also marathon, and do some marathon stuff. I remember when I did the half marathon in Vegas, and I was done with like when I finished the race, I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be a marathoner. That half marathon absolutely sucked. But I could definitely see myself try marathons in the future. I could definitely see that happen. And then maybe even after like hopefully a long professional career, I could see myself do ultras and try to get a cool Western States 100-mile belt buckle. Just because like I think it'd be kind of cool to cap off like a cool running career with, I started with the mile in junior high and I ended doing 100 miles in Squaw Valley to get this cool belt buckle. But that would be after like pro stuff. That would be after, whatever my prime was is gone. That would just kind of be like some funsy stuff, something to challenge myself still. But yeah, I feel like as a professional runner, I want to try to do 5K, 10K stuff. And then after runner, like when I'm a geezer or doing those fun run events, do anything from the mile to like 25Ks at Christmas or something like that.
So you're a guy who enjoys actually running. You're not just in it because you're good at it.
Yeah. I mean, initially in the beginning, I was, in it because I was good at it because I failed at everything else athletically. I'm not going to say I'm the most athletically specimen looking dude on the block. But the more I went into running, it was more of like an escape. It was more of a stress reliever. It was more of like, something I actually look forward to in a day. So it's something I do thoroughly enjoy. Like I would still love to be the old dude, still trying to be a try-hard at these community races and telling people like, yo, back in my day, I used to do this quite a bit. And like, all right, cool, dude, like whatever. So.
Well, in our current state, there's a lot of people now rediscovering running or finding running maybe for the first time because it's a activity that you can do solo and people are desiring fresh air. I know you said you're on a break right now, but do you think it'll like kind of rekindle the simplistic nature of the sport and maybe the foundation of why you loved it in the first place? Yeah,
I could see it. I could definitely see it be like that. I mean, not like a widespread movement like the movie and like the movie Forrest Gump, where when Forrest started running halfway across the United States, everyone decided to hop on and start running with him, and he ends up Monument Valley. But I feel that, with this quarantine lifestyle, people are getting stir crazy because it's not like you're at home chilling and be like, oh, maybe I just want to chill at a movie theater. I'm still inside, movie theaters are closed. Or, oh, maybe I just want to meet a friend outside at like Johnny Rockets and have a burger. Well, Johnny Rockets is closed right now, So I think like when you're confined into your home and HBO and Cartoon Network are really helping so far, I think, yeah, it makes people want to go out and do something active. I've seen, my dad and I went Frisbee golfing yesterday, and yeah, there was a bunch of people doing Frisbee golf. There's more kids at the playground than I've ever seen. Granted, I think the CDC is having a heart attack seeing a bunch of kids in one area, but just seeing them, like out, like seeing them out and about and just having fun. Like I feel like a lot of people try to find their own fun when everything's gone. So yeah, I think running, if that helps you get out of the house, do it. And hopefully when this quarantining lifestyle is done, hopefully still keep on with running. It's a great sport. It brought me to so many great places, made me meet so many great people, but also just I feel for me made me like so much of a better person just because I was able to run. So
we got an email from a listener a couple days ago. They were talking about virtual 5Ks or virtual distance races and how that's a thing, so people can still race. And Lincoln asked me at the time, well, if you could do a virtual 5K anywhere in the world, like you didn't have to be under quarantine, but you had to do a virtual 5K, where would you do it? And I want to ask you that same thing. Not necessarily a track, but where's your favorite stretch of 5 kilometers?
I would say for nostalgia case, I would set one at Buffalo Park because it would be the easiest 5K I would ever run at Buffalo Park because I don't have to run in that race on that gravel area or feel the elevation effects of it because it'll just be in my mind. So I would say Buffalo Park is probably the quickest 5K I'll ever run at Buffalo Park in my life. And I think another would be somewhere in Ireland, St. Patrick's Day just passed and kind of felt a little bit of a little heritage bone to me. And so, yeah, I'd probably do a 5K somewhere in Ireland. But other than that, I think, probably just revisit old courses I ran in high school and try to virtually run it there too. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of places because I haven't really traveled far and ran at a bunch of places. But yeah, I would say those are just kind of a handful of places.
When you were talking about Ireland, that got me thinking, and obviously you're famous for not all Irish people. This is a misconception. Not all Irish people have red hair. We know that.
True.
But with your 5,000 time, do you know or have you looked? Are you the fastest redhead of all time?
So shout out to our freshmen on the team. It is Caleb and Drew. Caleb Beeson and Drew Bosley, and even Corey Gorgas. They came up to me after I ran that 5K, and they're like, "Yo, T-Day, are you like the fastest redhead in the 5K?" And I'm like, that's such a silly question. But we were wondering, and I was like, actually, I'm pretty sure I'm not, because I think Matt Teagenkamp ripped a really fast 5K sometime. And Matt Teagenkamp is a really fast redhead.
That's true.
I know there's not a lot of us out there. I wish there was more. So if you redheads are out there, keep it going. Keep the lineage going. We're a dying breed. But yeah, no, I have to say my bet is like Teagenkamp. I'm pretty sure if you look through the files, I'm pretty sure. He already has an American record in the 2 mile, I believe.
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
So I feel like if you could rip a 2 mile, an extra mile would probably put you under a 13-16 time somewhere on there.
He's run 12:57. So yeah, he would.
Yeah.
He would have you. So that's something to shoot for.
For sure. Second best is cool.
We're into the later parts of this episode, so we're getting to the weird questions. And one thing I've always wanted to ask you. Your hair, do you cut it like once every 2 years? What's your process with your hair?
So originally when I grew up my hair, it was in rebellion to my mom because, I don't know if you guys be able to find it. I want to leave that to you sleuths, but in high school, my hair was kind of growing out and my mom absolutely hated my bangs. And I was like, I know if you cut my bangs, it's going to look super bad. And yeah, my mom was super, upfront about it. And yeah, she cut my bangs. So my senior year photo is actually I look like an albino Beatles member from the Beatles, like bowl cut and everything. And so, yeah, when I got into college, I was like, no one's going to cut my bangs. I'm going to grow out my hair and it's going to look amazing. And I thought it looked amazing, but everyone else on the team were just like, dude, what are you doing? But yeah, so the first time I grew out my hair, it was in rebellion, You moved into college. Some people, go on ragers. Some people do some, illegal acts. I just grew out my hair. And then the second time I grew out my hair, I think it was just I was contemplating whether I should be growing out my hair. Next thing I know, 2 years pass and my hair is already long. So, I think it was just my hair grows really fast. So I think I just let it happen. Plus, I think I just really wanted to be like Jordy so bad. And so I think that's why I grew it out the second time too. Because I mean, Jordy Beamish, everybody, like he's good. He's good. So
well, let's do. I've asked you a couple times to do some rankings. We've got Jordy long hair, Luis long hair, you at times long hair. Am I missing who else?
Theo Clax is in his process of growing it out.
Theo, yeah.
And then we're trying to get Ryan Ropp to grow out his hair. He always refuses to do so. It kind of grows out into like a little afro esque, but we're trying to get Ryan Ropp, the quiet assassin, to grow out his hair. So be on the lookout on the come up. If you could do an on the rise episode on anyone, Ryan Ropp's hair for sure.
And I never in my running day, like my hair was longer than it is now, but like it never was anywhere near the length you guys have had it. Is it a nuisance? Like, does it get old? I know you have headbands and ponytails, but like, does it get old?
The worst is when it especially happens my freshman year, not so much my sophomore or junior year when I was growing it out again because I was smart enough to do this. But yeah, whenever I was at the mess hall and I would be, eating my pancakes, my hair would always fall in the syrup. So my ends would be would be coated in syrup, and I'll just look like an idiot going to my 8 a.m. class. So yeah, nuisance was like eating wise. Sometimes you eat your hair and you're like, that was an idiot, or sometimes it falls in your syrup. But yeah, I learned that whenever I ate now, I could just put it up. But the one thing I even told everybody, I even told my sister this when we were starting, I was like, I'm only wearing my hair up for practical reasons, not for fashion sense. I think I look absolutely silly in a man bun. Jordy could obviously pull it off. Theo, whenever he wants to, can pull it off. Sometimes there's like a top knot that looks like a Teletubby, and you're like, dude, that doesn't look cool. And then like Luis pulls it off. But for me, I was just like, yeah, I don't think I look good in a man bun. So I only use it for running reasons. Every other reasons, it's always, hair down, party all over, no business whatsoever. And yeah, so I mean, I haven't tried the headband. I wish I probably would have. I think I would look like, Diego Estrada when he was at NAU. But again, I just don't think I look that angelic. Like, I always imagine myself whenever I ran with long hair, I would look like Daniel Davis in Last of the Mohicans. But I looked at pictures and I look far from it. I look like an off-brand of it. So
what's tomorrow and the next day going to look like for you? Everybody's been posting their routines and how they're getting through it. Can you give me a day in the life of Tyler Day in this new reality that we currently reside in?
All right. So in the world of T-Day, quarantine edition, I'm going to wake up. I'm probably going to shoot for like an 8-mile run on the canals down here in Phoenix. And then, get my stuff together here and then drive up to Flagstaff. And then, touch base with the coaches to see, what's up. Touch base with the teammates to see what's up. Probably watch some Netflix movies tomorrow once I get back to Flagstaff. I might watch. I have the DVD Joker, and my roommate Ryan Wolf, he used to be on the team, hasn't seen it yet, so I'm planning on having a movie date with him. And then the next day, I'll probably, so that would be Sunday, I'm probably going to take tomorrow off, probably do some core stuff, or say I'm going to do some core stuff, but theoretically I might just be eating like tortillas on the couch. But yeah, no, it's just kind of like, yeah. So I think mainly just one thing is just, drive up, like pop up to Flagstaff tomorrow, and then, kind of get some stuff together and, start my online class or continue my online class and try to get some homework done.
So you're going to I apologize if you said this earlier, but you're going to stay in Flagstaff while you're doing the online courses?
Yeah, and also kind of training too, because down here in Phoenix, down here in the Valley, all the gyms are like closed and everything. And up at NAU, we're able to use our key card in the dome. And I know the dome has obviously our track, and obviously they have like stationary bikes too. So if I need to have like a run and a bike, I can do it in the dome. And I have like more resources, and also the education wing at the HLC. So the HLC, where student athletes go to like get homework done or see their advisors. I'm in contact with like my advisors to see if I need to do anything more till graduation. So for me, athletically wise and training wise, there's more to do in Flagstaff, which is funny because it's all snowed right now and all the roads are like closed and everything, like all the businesses and eatery places up there are closed as well. But training wise, there's more opportunities to train up there than it is down here.
Gotcha. Well, Tyler, that's all I got. Thank you so much for taking some time for hopping on. I know it's a very stressful time for all of us and for you in particular with what happened a couple weeks, but we appreciate you chatting with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Sorry if I've been blabbling for some questions over the time limit, but appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All we have is time right now. Basically it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are good. Again, I wish you the same. Best of luck going forward. Stay safe, and appreciate the time.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you guys. Wash your hands and keep your hands to yourself.